Hi, Ben. This is Jackie from Melbourne. I have a question around setting aside some money for my kids, taking a portion out of my income, and where you would advise this money is best invested. What's the smart move? Or do I just let them fend for themselves when the time has come? Appreciate your advice. Thank you.
Hey, Jackie. Yeah, that's a great question. Look, I'd say that definitely the best financial option for you is to let the kids fend for themselves. And, they can sort of make their own way, as you said. But look, I also, that's sort of a little bit tongue in cheek, that I do get that for parents that you want to, help your kids. And I know that I do this, do a bit of saving and investing for my two daughters as well. And I think it's a great way to help them get a bit of a leg up. We see property prices around Australia at all-time highs. The affordability doesn't seem to be getting any easier. In my view, it's probably unlikely to get any easier in the years to come. So, if you've got the means to, and you're keen to help your kids out, then, whatever you do, I'm sure will be, you'd hope, appreciated, but definitely will be impactful if you do it in the right way. Now, a couple of things to keep in mind here, that if you're investing, there's essentially really a handful of options that's available to any person to invest money into. You can save money in cash, in your cash savings account. That can be a great option. You can buy shares and managed funds or ETFs. I put them all in the same bucket. You buy property, probably not the first go-to, given the cost of that, but that's an option that's there. Buy crypto, potentially a little bit patchy if you look at what's happening in markets, but just to, for completeness of the options. Or you can invest through like superannuation or something, but again, that's probably unlikely to be an option for kids in the shorter term. Now, it's not rocket science what those options are, but finding the right combination of options to get the outcomes that you want is something that is really going to move the dial in terms of the results that you get over time. Saving money in cash is a really easy and simple thing. It's something that a lot of people understand. And it's great because you can see it growing, and cash has very little risk of going backwards, particularly in Australia. Cash is government guaranteed up to $250,000. So, you don't face any risk of loss. But the reality is that cash is not going to shoot the lights out from a return perspective over time. The long-term return on cash in Australia is around 4%. And with inflation running between 2 or 3%, outside of the current inflation crisis that we're seeing, that the real return, so the return after inflation on cash savings for the long term, is very low, maybe around 1%, if that. In low interest rate environments like what we've seen for the last decade, the real return on cash has actually been negative. So while you will see the dollar amount increasing in a savings account that you put aside for your kids, in actual buying power terms, that money is unlikely to actually really grow very much for them. So it's probably some of the other options that will deliver that growth for you, where you look at an option like shares or ETFs or managed funds. The 30-year return on the Australian share market is about 9.8%. So significantly higher than what you would see on a cash account. Now, when you invest into shares, you do face the ups and downs of the market. Shares in good times go up. When we're seeing an economic downturn, sort of like the environment that we're seeing at the moment, you're seeing those shares going down. So that means that you could see the value of the money that you're putting aside for your kids actually decline in real terms. But the thing is that if you want to get positive results from share investments over time, there are two things that you need to do. The first thing that you need to do is choose good investments. Make sure that you've got good quality, like blue chip, either single stocks or managed funds or ETFs in your portfolio. And the second is that you need to make sure that you're never forced to sell those investments at the wrong time. So if you're investing for your kids for the long term, you've probably got a high degree of confidence that the money can sit there and ride out the ups and downs of the market, which should mean that you're never forced to sell those investments. So that means that if you choose good investments and you're not forced to sell them, you can let your good investments do what good investments do over the long term, which is make you a bunch of money or grow by a fair bit for you to ultimately gift to your kids. Now, there's a few different ways you can do that. I'm a big fan of micro investing apps, and obviously this is not financial advice, and you should go seek out personalized advice before implementing anything. But micro investing apps can allow you to start investing with as little as 1 cent for some platforms, and a lot of them is just basically a few bucks, $5 or something like that. You can start buying some shares or some ETFs and then start getting that growth. Generally as well with these micro investing apps, one of the other reasons that I like them is because they're really easy to automate your investments over time. A number of them these days actually have separate sub accounts that you can have for your kids. So you can have, if you've got more than one child, you could have different accounts for different children and have different amounts of money, or the same amount of money, but going into different buckets for them. So that can be a really great way to go about things as well. From a tax planning perspective and from an account ownership perspective, a common question that we get is, who should own them? Should I actually be investing in my child's name? The answer to that is generally no, or the answer is that it's generally not optimal from a tax perspective to do that, because when you have investments for minors, that they're generally taxed at a higher rate. So typically what we see people choosing to do in that case is that they're investing in their name, but just knowing in their mind that the money is designated for their kids for the future. But if you've got an investment account and you're just making regular contributions, then that can have some serious compounding effects over time. And I would strongly encourage you to jump over onto the Money Smart website. That's run by ASIC, by the Australian government. They have a compound interest calculator. And if you put in the long-term share market return of 9.8%, you can look at what it would look like if you were to contribute, say, $5 a week or $10 a week or $2 a day or whatever to an investment account, how it would actually grow over time. That can help you to set some targets and some expectations as to what the investments might do for your kids. You might have a specific amount in mind that you'd love to gift to your kids on their 18th birthday or their 21st birthday or whatever, and that can help you actually do that. Let us know here if there's enough demand. I could probably dive a little bit deeper into how to actually go about doing that. But essentially, that can give you a lot of motivation to see the power of actually investing and investing regularly for your kids. And then it just comes down to actually opening an account and making it happen. A lot of the products in Australia, they're all protected under APRA, so there's probably not a lot of risk with the actual provider itself, and a lot of similarities between the different providers that are out there. So it can come down to a personal preference thing. What account is easy for you to use, easy for you to set up, easy for you to automate a regular payment. If you can find one of those, then you've got the good building blocks and the track to run on to go there. Then it's just about getting started and being consistent over time, and getting those results. So it's a confusing area, but there's a lot of opportunity out there when you get that right. So I hope you find that one helpful, Jackie.